China's growth strategy so far being manufacturing centric and then exports heavy. So how exactly this kind of a change can be brought into India, if at all possible? Because a lot of us, in fact, one of the surveys that we did in Gupshup to Inspire was people felt that it is because they have a communist setup, they can enforce these forced manufacturing and cost labor effective reforms there, which in India is not possible, being a democracy, which is fair enough. So how exactly, if at all, we also want to ramp up our productivity in terms of manufacturing and making it exports heavy, what do you think we can do?
You asked the right question. In fact, there is two thoughts which I see in this space. Some people say just follow China.
Yeah.
But then I am of the opinion we might be getting into a wrong direction. China is China. We never can be China because we are a democratic country.
Yeah.
We just need to look at what we are good at.
Yeah. Correct.
It is something like, my neighbor is doing something.
Yeah.
Let me copy what he's doing.
Correct.
It doesn't work. So every individual, every country need to look at what the country is good at.
True.
What we are good at is actually we are the largest democracy in the world.
Yeah.
And within the next couple of years, we will be the largest country in the world in terms of population. We are going to beat China very soon. And according to me, it is a strength for me.
In that front, we will win the race quickly.
Yep. But I'm seeing it is an opportunity for us.
I'm
seeing it is an opportunity for us. It all depends upon how we see it. For me, it's a human capital.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm deploying my capital properly, I'm on the right direction. The third aspect is that, historically, if you look at it, I gave you a gist in the beginning. In 90s, what has happened? Our growth was mostly exports driven, that 18% per annum CAGR we are growing, which is took a beating with regard to sustainability part. Sure. Otherwise, if you look at Indian economy, it is a domestic economy.
Yeah.
The domestic consumption is the core of our economy. That is our strength. Unlike China. Okay. Chinese economy is driven. Yeah. Chinese economy is driven by exports. We are not driven by exports.
True.
So I'm not saying that we don't need exports. We probably need exports. We need to relook our alignments. We need to look at how to encash the current opportunities, so-called China plus one arguments people are talking about. So we need to be quick in doing that, because why I'm saying this, countries like Vietnam, Taiwan is catching up on that. Mexico is catching up on that. Chile is catching up on that. Sure. Even some parts of Malaysia, Myanmar is catching up on that.
Okay.
We also need to reform fast, and I think the time is a key thing.
Okay.
And the sad part with Indians is, I'm sorry to say that we talk a lot and act less. So we need to slightly change our approach. We need to act and talk less.
Sure.
And the third and most important thing is, we probably need to, it is time for India to relook into our own strategic objectives.
Okay.
It is very important, because why I'm saying that context is, when we are surrounded by adversaries, which we have seen in the last couple of weeks,
sure.
We, at this point of time, we need to take a strong stand in either way.
Sure.
Okay, which would help us in making our next destiny.
Sure.
And in many areas, I believe, as a country alone, today's scenario on the strategic front I'm talking about,
sure.
the old approach of going in isolation, it is not going to work. We need to have the right partnerships, like the Quads, what we are talking about, the India, Australia, Japan, US, whatever.
Cohesive, holistic, as again we can call it, and then kind of all of these forces combined can really take
and unleash a series of reforms. Okay,
that's what we. Yeah.
So, and when you unleash the reforms, make sure that it is inclusive. Sure. It is not adding to skewed economic disparity in this country, because that is one observation I have.
Sure.
If you don't take care of the bottom of the pyramid, you're probably going to have more problems in the coming years. Right. So this is what I would suggest: not to emulate China,
Yeah.
We find our own path. We find our own friends. I use the word right friends whom we can trust. I
And
think in modern world, yeah, the trust is the key thing. So whomever you feel, and at the same time, engage China. You can't ignore them, because I'm of the opinion that they will be the largest economy in the near future. It's only a matter of time.
Would surpass US for sure. The way they are,
Yep.
their strategies have.
So they would, and so we need to engage them. At the same time, this love-hate relationship
Has
will continue.
it will be there, I'm sure. So,
And in the corporate world, we call it competition. You cooperate and compete.
true. True. So Shinto, quickly jumping on to the question, you have briefly mentioned about Myanmar, Taiwan, Philippines, all of these smaller nations nearby. So what is, I mean, you have been traveling across Southeast Asia. So what is the image that India has in this region? Are we also seen as one like your expansionist China or the growth-oriented China with not considering the neighbors around, or we are like, taken into a different image altogether as a nation which is friendly with its neighbors and maybe has high opportunities, potential, and intellectual capital. So, what's the exact image that India carries in this region? Shinto, from your experience.
It's a very interesting question. Actually, I had a different perception about East.
Oh.
But when I traveled and started interacting with them, they like us. They like Indians. And in one of the countries, I went for a defense event.
Yeah.
Initially, they didn't admit me. And after a week, I got a mail. You're admitted.
Yeah.
Sure, they did the background check. And when I went there, we didn't see any other countries except some Americans. And me and my colleague, we were the only outsiders. Mm-hmm. So I went up and asked two of their senior officers,
sure.
Sir, how come you are not invited others into this event? He said, and how come only, I'm from India. Huh?
Okay.
And no other country, it's Australia, actually. I can name it.
Yeah.
Okay. This was an event in Australia. And I asked an officer, he said, hey man, you're a friendly country. Oh. You're welcome. You're welcome to our programs, and we should be able to do much better.
That's great.
Same thing. I went to Taiwan, and I was talking to a couple of guys about some of the initiatives, and they said, and one guy went and further said, if you know your defense minister and other people, why don't you guys put your warships in our port?
Oh.
Why don't you put your warships in our port?
So Taiwan. Long demand of BrahMos missile also that they want to kind of buy from India.
So same way, if you go to Vietnam, I don't know how many of you know that Vietnam has got a long back, a couple of years back, India gave them a observatory center. Oh. It is nothing but it is there in the public domain. I can talk about it actually. Okay. It is a ISRO's download link. Mm-hmm. Where using which they can see almost all ship movements in South China Sea.
Oh, lovely.
Okay, real-time basis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have called it as a civilian observatory facility, but then it is not a military resolution.
Yeah.
Okay, but okay, but at least they get what is required. So if you ask me, we are accepted very well. We go to Japan, same thing. They're keen in working with us on multiple fronts. Korea, same thing. So according to me, this is something which I think Indian entrepreneurs should understand.
Okay.
The growth is going to be in the East Asia, Southeast Asia, I call it.
Yeah.
And we need to go with the government's philosophy. We look east. Look east is something really we should look east. Okay. And thanks to airlines like Indigo, mm-hmm. To be frank, reaching out to East was a problem. Today, we have direct flights to most of the Eastern countries from, Indian cities.
Yeah.
So more and more flights has to be opened up. The language barriers, like, in Taiwan, Chinese is a problem. So we need to probably train people on Mandarin. Mm-hmm. Vietnam, we have the language barrier. We probably need to look at, complement to what these guys are doing. These are all manufacturing economies.
Okay.
Okay, Taiwan is a manufacturing economy. Vietnam is a manufacturing economy. Malaysia is a manufacturing economy. Mm-hmm. And if you look at Thailand, again, a lot of manufacturing happening. Indonesia, a lot of manufacturing is happening. So what we can bring on the table is they lack on services capabilities. Okay, we can augment on the top of what they are doing, and we should not be giving them a threat also, because India is a big country. Compared to some of these countries, we are so huge, and that is also a problem we have, perception problem, because if you let Indians they will come like locusts and finish everything. This problem, perception problem, we have in developed countries. So we should be a bit careful in doing that. As far as we understand their aspirations and they like us, I think we have a complementary game to do.
That's so good to hear. That's so good to know also. And probably that's the reason. I mean, that's the reason. I actually wanted to squeeze and attach the next question to you. Was now you have spoken opportunities and upcoming industries and economies and technologies that we should look after. We are perceived as a friendly nation in Southeast Asia. Combining these two facts, do you think there is an opportunity for Indian startups to do business with them as an import and export? So what should be those? Where exactly Indian startups should look into importing and exporting currently in the Southeast Asian regions? If you can, throw some light there.
Okay, as I told you, all these countries are in transition phase. Okay, some countries have got their own inherent challenges also. For example, I go to Malaysia. Malaysia, unlike other countries like Vietnam. Vietnam started this manufacturing boom maybe 10, 15 years back.
Sure.
Malaysia is traditionally a manufacturing hub. I'm talking about their history goes back to more than 15, 20 years back.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thanks to the previous Prime Minister Mahathir, who made Malaysia as it is today. But then Malaysia is having a different problem today. Their issue is basically they lack skill. Their manufacturing is getting questioned by the Chinese aggression. So they probably will need the right skills to take their manufacturing into the next generation.
Sure.
Okay, and if you go to Taiwan, Taiwan is basically a country traditionally known for hardware manufacturing.
Okay.
In today's world, actually, products are system on chip, software, hardware integrated approach, where software is very important. And Taiwan is not good in software.
Okay.
So for Indian entrepreneurs, we should fill that gap. We should help them to make better products. Okay, there is chance for joint ventures. There are chance for joint initiatives. The chance to become vendors. Only thing is, please learn Chinese. Without learning Chinese Mandarin language, it is difficult to deal with a country like. So if you go to Australia, but again, Taiwan is basically bit different country. You need to understand how to deal with them. Unless if I give you a comparison between China and Australia and Taiwan.
Okay.
Taiwan means when they mean 30 minutes, mean 30 minutes. Your meeting ends at 30 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. If they have a lunch break at 1:30 means 1:30 is lunch break.
Okay.
Your meeting stops there.
Okay.
So you need to be aware of that part. You go to and again, ladies has got a lot of importance in Taiwan.
Oh.
If a lady is sitting in the meeting, make sure that you give attention to her. Eventually, she might be the one who's taking the call.
Okay.
She might be junior, but then she will take the call.
Oh.
So, okay, you need to understand that part. Many Indians who are going there, I keep telling them, understand these cultural differences.
Sure.
And go accordingly. If you go to Australia, it's an informal way of doing things. Some companies, in between the discussion, they might open a beer bottle.
Okay.
Okay. So, don't get into the business straight discussions immediate. You just mirror it. That guy is informal. You be informal. Talk to him everything else under the sun except business. Yeah. And you bring it to a discussion level at some point of time. Not all. I'm talking about majority falls into this informal category.
Sure.
So you need to build that rapport, bring that informality. And every country has got its own advantage. You go to Singapore, it's a different way of doing things. They think twice before anything because it's a costly economy. So you need to be very clear in telling them how much money is involved because they're very worried about the cost factor. Out of all these countries, Singapore is very expensive. So you need to be telling them very clearly because and all these countries, there are other issues also. Malaysia has got something called Bhumiputra, means the son of the land. In Singapore, they have again similar definitions. So certain jobs, certain businesses are allowed only with the locals. So you go to Australia, you don't have that issue. But then if it's a government business, again, you need to be tying up with somebody locally.
Correct.
So this is something which I think Indians should understand, that collaboration. I use the word collaboration, partnership, and we need to harness our skills. Indian entrepreneurs should be trained to address this part. Second thing is the industry bodies or trade bodies should help them in this, because as a startup guy, I'm telling you, he doesn't have all these expertise.
Yeah.
How can he travel multiple times to learn all these things?
Yeah, of course.
So this is something trade bodies and industry bodies should fix it. That they should run these kind of sessions. Pull in people like me who has been into this market multiple times. Share the experience with them. Hey, this is the issue which you should fix it. In this country, these are the problems. And right from get trained to eat some of their local food along with them. So that's very important. It was East now. Food is a big problem.
Yeah.
So for Indians, we need to train. We need to, especially for vegetarians.
Yeah.
Survival in that belt is a challenge.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Australia is different. Australia is still you'll get the English food, but in the rest of the countries, you need to be open. And good part is they're clean. They're clean. You don't get sick so often. Let's be assured.
Definitely.
So there is a lot of option growth happening. As an entrepreneur, I strongly recommend look east. Look east. The reason I'll tell you, I have one interesting slide. I think I have it here. 1 second. Yes, just have a look at this slide. It talks a lot about what is really happening there. Look at this slide. This slide talks about the projected growth of countries in the east side. Okay. No other region in this world, anywhere in the world, is going to give this kind of growth. Even in the post-COVID era, this is the sector area which you are going to see the first bouncing back. Okay. So as an entrepreneur, I suggest look east. Join the government, look east. You have the future there.
Wow, that's a take from this session, and that's the motivation and inspiration that I also have now. We can expand our horizon to think east, and currently, whatever is the thinking right now doesn't look too east. So now I think I'll take that away from the session from you, Shinto.